Robert Duvall has been a towering figure in Hollywood for decades. From the haunting intensity of The Godfather to the tender, heartfelt performance in Tender Mercies, he became a symbol of excellence and authenticity in film. Audiences admired him for his commanding presence, his ability to embody characters with astonishing depth, and the quiet gravitas he brought to every role. But behind the acclaim, a story few have ever seen was unfolding, one of vulnerability, struggle, and emotional turbulence that would mark the final of his life. That in these last days, Robert faced challenges that went far beyond what the public could imagine. The cameras never captured the private moments of reflection, the quiet struggles, and the painful reality of confronting mortality. Friends and family recall long, emotional conversations where he wrestled with loss, regret, and the weight of time, experiences that no award or accolade could ease. Even as his health declined, his spirit remained intricate and resilient. Those closest to him describe moments of surprising humor, tenderness, and insight, revealing a side of Robert Duvall rarely seen. The very traits that made him legendary on screen, honesty, authenticity, and emotional courage, became vital tools as he navigated his final days. This story is not about fame, fortune, or Hollywood glitz. It is about the man behind the legend, the quiet battles he faced, and the truth that only those who were closest to him could witness. Now, for the first time, the full picture emerges: the heartbreak, the private struggles, and the emotional journey that defined Robert Duvall's final days. A story as moving as any performance he ever delivered. For more than 60 years, Robert Duvall has captivated audiences with performances that are both commanding and intimate. From the haunting power of The Godfather to the quiet, nuanced beauty of Tender Mercies, he established himself as a master of his craft. While millions admired his on-screen presence, few understood the private struggles that shaped the man behind the legend. In the final period of his life, Robert began retreating from the public eye, seeking solace in the quiet spaces of his home. Friends and family describe this time as deeply introspective, a period filled with reflection, emotion, and vulnerability. The man who portrayed leaders, warriors, and heroes was now navigating the profound fragility of life itself. Physical challenges accompanied these emotional shifts. Age had begun to take its toll. Even simple tasks became more strenuous, demanding patience and care. Yet it was not just the body that confronted him with limitations. It was the weight of years, memories, and the realization that time was finite. Every day carried significance. Every moment demanded presence. Despite these trials, Robert remained attentive to his loved ones. Family members recount evenings where he listened more than he spoke, offering reassurance, sharing memories, and demonstrating a tenderness that few had ever witnessed. It was a side of him that contrasted sharply with the commanding characters that audiences knew so well, a gentle, reflective, deeply human side. His mind remained engaged with the work that had defined him. He would recall roles that challenged him emotionally, moments on set that left indelible marks, and characters whose complexity resonated beyond the script. Unlike the accolades he had received, these reflections were not about pride. They were about understanding life, people, and himself more fully. Mortality brought clarity to his priorities. Long-standing disputes lost their significance. Small joys, a walk in the garden, a quiet morning with coffee, the company of family, became treasures. The simplicity of these moments offered profound comfort, a reminder that life's most valuable experiences are often understated. Those closest to him noticed a transformation in demeanor. The sharp focus, the relentless drive, the relentless energy, all were tempered by a newfound patience and acceptance. While he had spent decades navigating complex characters and high-pressure sets, he now confronted an ultimate role, facing life's inevitable conclusion with dignity. Awareness and emotional honesty, preparation for the future, became part of his reflection. Robert addressed practical matters thoughtfully, ensuring that his family and loved ones would be cared for. Yet more than logistics, this period was about legacy, not the films or awards, but the lessons, values, and emotional truths he wished to leave behind. Robert Duvall's final days reveal a profound truth. Greatness is not measured only by public achievements, but by the quiet resilience, emotional depth, and human connection demonstrated when no one is watching. In these private moments, he showed the world not the star, but the man, thoughtful, vulnerable, and deeply present, even as audiences remember him for unforgettable performances. Those who shared these final days carry memories of something far more enduring, a legacy of humility, compassion, and humanity that transcends every role he ever played. As Robert Duvall spent more time in solitude, those around him began to notice subtle changes in his behavior. The actor who had once thrived under the intensity of film sets now sought calm and quiet. Friends describe long afternoons where he would sit in his study, reflecting on a lifetime of experiences. He spoke less of accolades and more of moments, the fleeting joys of connection, the beauty of ordinary life, and the lessons learned from decades in Hollywood. Family became his central focus. He was a devoted father and grandfather, and in these final days, he made it clear that nurturing those bonds mattered more than any public recognition. Conversations with loved ones were often filled with emotion. He shared stories of his youth, the struggles of his early career, and the personal sacrifices required to pursue a life in acting. These reflections revealed a man both proud of his accomplishments and aware of the moments he wished he could relive or change. Physical limitations were a constant reminder of life's fragility. Simple tasks demanded care, and routines that had once been effortless required deliberate attention. Even so, he faced these challenges with remarkable dignity. There were no complaints, no dramatics, only quiet determination and acceptance. In these moments, friends and family could see the same strength that had allowed him to embody complex characters. For decades, a mix of patience, resilience, and unwavering integrity. Yet it was the emotional weight that proved most profound. Robert Duvall confronted feelings of loss, regret, and the inevitability of time passing in ways that were deeply personal. Those close to him recall evenings of quiet reflection, when tears were shed not out of despair, but from the awareness of a life fully lived. There was a desire to reconcile, to express gratitude, and to leave behind a sense of completeness with the people who mattered most. He also maintained a sharp awareness of his career, though in a different light. Roles that had challenged him or stories that had moved him were revisited in memory, not for nostalgia, but for understanding. He considered the impact of his work, the lessons embedded in the characters he portrayed, and the subtle ways film could shape audiences' perceptions of humanity. Even in declining health, his mind remained engaged, attentive, and curious. Private moments of joy persisted alongside reflection. A quiet morning with coffee, a leisurely walk through the garden, or listening to music he loved became small but profound anchors in his daily life. These seemingly ordinary experiences provided comfort and a sense of continuity. Friends noted that, during these times, his laughter would return, soft but genuine, reminding everyone that even in the face of life's end, moments of happiness were still possible. Preparation for the inevitable became part of his routine. Both practical and emotional, legal and financial matters were carefully addressed, ensuring that his family would be provided for. More importantly, he worked to leave behind emotional clarity, expressing love, gratitude, and forgiveness to those closest to him. These acts were private, quiet, and deeply significant. Through it all, Robert Duvall demonstrated a profound truth about life and mortality. Fame, awards, and recognition are fleeting. What endures are human connections, acts of compassion, and the way one faces the end of life with courage and authenticity. His final days, though marked by reflection and vulnerability, were also defined by love, presence, and an enduring commitment to the people he cared for most. Even as his physical strength began to wane, Robert Duvall remained remarkably present in the lives of those he loved. Friends and family recall that, despite the limitations imposed by age, he made a conscious effort to engage meaningfully with everyone around him. Every conversation, every shared meal, and every quiet moment carried a weight that was both humbling and profound. The actor who had once inhabited powerful, larger-than-life characters now devoted his energy to smaller, more personal interactions. These moments were not dramatic or performative. They were simply human. A long phone call to check on a friend, a handwritten note of encouragement, or a story from his youth told with a hint of humor and nostalgia. These were the things that mattered most. Those close to him described these exchanges as some of the most intimate they had ever shared with him. Glimpses into a man rarely seen beyond the camera lens. Emotionally, the final period of his life was marked by reflection and reconciliation. Past grievances, both personal and professional, seemed less significant. Friends say he spent hours mending relationships, expressing apologies for misunderstandings, and sharing words of gratitude for those who had supported him throughout his career. It was a time of closure, a deliberate effort to leave no unresolved tension behind. Physical challenges were ever present, yet he met them with quiet determination. Simple routines required patience, and he accepted assistance when necessary while maintaining dignity and independence. Even as his body reminded him of its limitations, his mind remained sharp. He continued to recall scripts, analyze past performances, and consider the lessons embedded in the characters he had portrayed. For Robert, storytelling had always been a means of understanding life, and even at the end, this perspective guided his reflections. Those who witnessed these final days often spoke of a profound mixture of strength and vulnerability. Duvall confronted mortality in a way that was neither bitter nor fearful. Instead, he embraced it with honesty, acknowledging the fragility of life while cherishing every remaining moment. Tears were not uncommon, sometimes from sadness, sometimes from joy, but they were always paired with appreciation for the people who surrounded him. And the memories they shared. Family remained at the center of his thoughts. Children, grandchildren, and close relatives became the anchors of his life. Conversations often revolved around life lessons, the importance of integrity, and the value of kindness. Friends note that he frequently emphasized that true legacy is not measured in accolades or box office numbers, but in the way one treats others and the love one leaves behind. Even his closest collaborators observed the depth of his introspection. Longtime colleagues from film sets reported seeing a side of him that went beyond the strong, commanding presence known to audiences. In these quiet moments, Robert Duvall revealed an emotional transparency that contrasted sharply with the roles he had played on screen. Vulnerability became a new strength, and those who experienced it considered it a privilege. Despite the emotional and physical challenges, Robert remained engaged with life in meaningful ways. Reading, listening to music, and revisiting favorite films became sources of comfort. Long walks and contemplative moments in nature provided clarity and peace. He reflected not only on his own experiences, but also on the changing world around him, offering insights and wisdom that were often candid, sometimes humorous, and always heartfelt. Ultimately, these final days were a testament to a life lived fully, not defined by the roles he played or the fame he achieved, but by the relationships he nurtured, the lessons he imparted, and the grace with which he faced the inevitable. Those who shared these intimate moments with him remember not just an icon of cinema, but a man of extraordinary humanity, a man whose final days were filled with quiet courage, reflection, and love. In the quiet conclusion of his life, Robert Duvall left a profound mark, not just through his legendary performances, but through the humanity he displayed in his final days. Friends and family describe a man who had become increasingly intentional with his time, valuing presence over prestige and connection over recognition. Every interaction, no matter how small, carried meaning. Those closest to him recall evenings spent recounting memories, sharing laughter, and offering guidance. He often spoke of the importance of love and integrity, emphasizing lessons that transcended any Hollywood accolade. These moments, intimate and unobserved by the public, revealed the depth of a man who had spent decades embodying the lives of others on screen, yet had never been more present in his own life. Even as physical limitations reminded him of mortality, Robert Duvall approached each day with dignity and resolve. Pain and discomfort were met with quiet patience, and assistance was accepted without complaint. This grace under pressure mirrored the qualities that had defined his career: emotional authenticity, discipline, and a steadfast commitment to doing what was right. It became clear that the final period of his life was not about loss, but about embracing the fullness of experience. Even in vulnerability, his private reflections extended to his professional legacy as well. For decades, He had inspired colleagues and audiences alike through performances that resonated deeply with the human experience. In these final days, he focused on ensuring that the lessons behind those performances, honesty, empathy, and integrity, would endure beyond his films. He spoke candidly to family and friends about what it meant to lead a meaningful life, offering insights shaped by both triumphs and regrets. Gratitude became a central theme. Every conversation, every gesture seemed infused with appreciation for life, for relationships, and for the opportunity to leave a mark on the world. Those who were near him noted a rare combination of reflection and contentment, a recognition of achievements tempered by humility, a sense of peace paired with awareness of what could no longer be changed. In his final interactions, Robert Duvall demonstrated the resilience of a lifetime. He showed that true strength is not the absence of fear or sorrow, but the ability to confront both with honesty, compassion, and dignity. He offered his loved ones not just guidance and love, but an example of how to navigate the most difficult tests of life with grace. Though the world will remember him for iconic performances and cinematic mastery, those who shared his last days carry a different legacy: memories of quiet courage, profound empathy, and unwavering authenticity. The man who brought characters to life on screen spent his final days living fully, even in the face of mortality, teaching those around him that humanity and connection endure far longer than fame or accolades. Ultimately, Robert Duvall's final days were a testament to the power of presence, love, and reflection. The tragedy he faced did not define him. Instead, it revealed the depth of his character. The lessons he imparted, through vulnerability, patience, and care, ensure that his legacy will be remembered not only for cinematic brilliance, but for the remarkable man who embraced life fully until the very end.